Have you ever felt like your problems are just squeezing in on you on all sides, that like it's just one after another and there doesn't seem to be any rest? I think we get a sense that Jesus experienced that too in these stories. I want to share with you a story that's kind of sandwiched in the middle of a lot of people who need a lot of help and how Jesus handles it. Here we go. This is a reading from the Gospel according to Mark. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered around him, and he was by the sea. Then one of the leaders of the synagogue named Jairus came, and when he saw Jesus, fell at his feet. And he begged him repeatedly, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be made well and live." So Jesus went with him, and a large crowd followed him and pressed in on him. Some people came from the leader's house to say, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further?" But overhearing what they said, Jesus said to the leader of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." He allowed no one to follow him except for Peter and James and John. When they came to the house of the leader of the synagogue, he saw a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. And when he entered, he said to them, "Why do you make a commotion and weep? The child is not dead, but only sleeping." And they laughed at him. Then he put them all outside, and he took the child's father and mother and those who were with him and went in to where the child was. And he took her by the hand, and he said to her, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, get up." And immediately the little girl got up and began to walk about. She was 12 years of age. At this, they were overcome with amazement. And he strictly ordered them that no one should know this. And he told them to get her something to eat. The gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Check this out. If you remember, if you were following along last week, we read the story of Jesus getting into the boat and then a storm coming up, and Jesus calms the storm and says to his disciples, "Just have faith. Like, I got this. I'm with you." Okay. And then they cross over to the other side, and we get a sense that like he crossed over a couple of times. And in fact, after the storm, he was on the shore and he ran into a man who was possessed by a demon and was just tormented by this thing, and Jesus healed him and took care of it. And then they got back in and they crossed over again, and there was another crowd gathering. And as he's moving through this crowd, another woman who's bleeding, she comes to him and she's like, "If I could just touch his robe, I'll be healed." And Jesus heals her. And then right in the midst of that, this crowd is pressing around him, and this leader from the church, the synagogue, comes and says, "My daughter is near death. Like, I need your help." So it's just one thing after another. And Jesus says to the people after he heals this girl, he says, "Don't tell anybody about this." Okay? And it's an interesting thing that he would say, but I think it's partly because he doesn't want people just coming around for the magic tricks. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't want people to just come around because they want something from him. He wants the people who are ready to say, "Yes, I believe," because that's what he invites. He just says, "Just believe. I'm here. I'm with you." Okay? And I also think that he knows when word gets out of some of these things, he's going to be just swamped. He's just going to be busted. Okay? And so he's like, "Okay, hang on. Like, let's just keep this between us." Okay? And yet, every time somebody comes in faith and says, "Jesus, I need your help," he says, "Yes, I'm here." He's so generous. And not only that, but he comes into our problems and he gives his take on it. He gives us the reality of the situation. Where we might see death, he sees sleep. He knows things aren't necessarily the way we're perceiving them. And no matter how we're perceiving them and how bad they are, he says, he comes into it and he's like, "Shh, it's okay. Just don't weep. Just believe. Okay? Trust me. I've got this. I'm with you." Our only step is to just step in and say, "Jesus, help me. I believe." You know what? And even we can just say, "Jesus, help me. I don't know if I believe." And he's so generous and he's so ready to help. So give him a chance. Let him step in and interpret what's going on in your life with you, and let him offer himself over and over again like he does here. He just doesn't give up. He's relentless, right? God's relentless for you. I love you guys. This might be the last one that you're going to see in your classes until the fall, which is totally cool, but you can subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to try and keep doing these over the summer just to keep up with it. And you'd be more than welcome to watch those every week. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side in September. Looking forward to it. Love y'all.